It has been a wild couple of weeks on the political front. The Speaker of the House, Chris Welch from Hillside, under fire. The Bears story has gone very quiet in the last few days. This as Brandon Johnson is remaining mum on his political future as the frontrunner in polling and money in the mayor's race formally enters that race. Joining us to make sense of all of that is Pat Brady, presently of Mercury Public Affairs, former head of the Illinois Republican Party. Thanks for being with us, Pat.
Good to see you, Chris.
Great to see you. Let's start with Alexi Giannoulias. He's got the news cycle going. He is leading in the polls, leading in the money. Is that the spot you want to be in 6 months out, or is there an argument for maybe peaking too early?
No, you don't want to be in that spot. Based on the last two mayoral cycles, the front runner didn't get to the finish line and win. So I don't think he wants to be in that spot because you're going to have 10 or 11 people coming after you. And the reality is, Chris, this thing's wide open. 4 years ago and 8 years ago, people came from nowhere to end up winning this mayor race. So anybody that's in this race with any kind of name ID, any kind of money, has a chance of being the next mayor.
And how will this play? He's running for mayor and secretary of state at the same time.
Chicago.
Well, that's a good question, and I think that the Republican candidate for Secretary of State will probably make issue of that. But I think it probably will, at the end of the day, it'll end up not being a big issue. But Susana Mendoza, who's also running, who's the current controller, is not running. So I think this is a different approach. But I think he'll be criticized on it, but I don't think it's going to make much difference.
Let's talk about the current occupant of the fifth floor, the mayor of Chicago, keeping his cards close to the vest. What's the political upside for Brandon Johnson to sort of hold out this long?
Just kind of what he said today when you did your interviews of him. He can be chief executive. He can do good things for people. He say, why would you not vote for me? I'm mayor and I'm doing a good job. But the reality is, if he does get in, and I'm not certain he's getting in, if he does get in, he's going to have to answer a lot of questions about his administration. He's polled horribly almost since the beginning of his administration. He's in better shape now than he was 2 years ago. But if I were him, I'd kind of hang out as long as I can and be chief executive before I became a candidate.
And if you were an inner circle person with him, you might say, boy, these polling numbers, these financial numbers, make sure you really want to do this first.
Yeah, but the reality is, you've got 11, 12 people in this race. He only needs to get 12, 13% to get to a runoff. If he gets to a runoff as an incumbent, he's getting a real shot to win. I don't think there is a favorite, as I said before, but, he's the incumbent mayor. His numbers aren't great, but he's still, I think, it probably would be considered one of the favorites.
Absolutely, and there's the poll of all 9 folks that are running at this point in time. Let's switch to state politics, Pat. There are calls from Republicans and Democrats for Democrat Speaker of the House Chris Welch from Hillside, a Democrat himself, to step down. The Trib reporting that Welch slow-walked a sexual misconduct investigation into a fellow Democratic rep, Harry Benton. How is this playing? What does the future hold for Chris Welch?
Let me answer this question first, and I'll get to yours, too. Having read that report and done a lot of investigations myself back in my prosecutor days, there is a real problem with this process of reporting sexual harassment to the legislative inspector general. You read through that report, and you're like, why did this take this long? Why weren't there notes for these interviews? Why did we wait 2 months before we talked to Harry Benton? So that, to me, is a big issue the legislature needs to address. But the reality is, for Speaker Welch, unless there is a uproar within his own caucus, I think he's fine. The report came out mainly about Harry Benton. Harry Benton's a creep. That's pretty clear. But I don't think it necessarily hurt Speaker Welch, and I think he'll probably, unless something else, the other shoe drops, I think he'll make it through this.
We only have about 30 seconds. I want to get you on the Bears. Things have gone quiet on that front. The governor's advice to the team is, hey, you really didn't press the flesh properly in the last session. Get a bill together, get a lobbyist with your team and figure out what you want from the state of Illinois. Get it approved. Get sort of a signal from both sides that they'll green light this, and we'll call this special session. Question 1, is that what's going on, and how is this going to play?
I wasn't involved in the intimate details in Springfield with the Bears, but I will tell you the feeling was that the Chicago Bears didn't do themselves very good by the way they approached this down in Springfield. I think a lot of people see them as the enemy, including the governor. So I think that's good advice to come up with a plan. I don't think people really want the Bears to leave. I don't think the governor wants the Bears to leave. Nobody really wants them to leave, but I think they need to rethink about how they approach the state of Illinois to this situation for the Bears to stay in Illinois.
They are on the clock. And Pat Brady, thanks for your time today. Greatly appreciated. Thanks.